Very warm greetings to all my dear students. I welcome you all in second video based on national income and related aggregate units from macroeconomics. We are going through circular flow and basic aggregates. After understanding the circular flow of income, it is time to understand some of the important terms and definitions of national income which will help us in solving the numerical problems. So, the first concept, the first definition that we need to know, and it will play a very important role in while calculating or solving different kind of problems in national income. The term is domestic territory or economic territory. We have to be very careful while defining domestic territory and domestic boundary. Domestic boundary means it is a physical boundary of a particular country, but when we are talking about domestic territory, it is larger than the physical boundary. It includes the area or territory which is under the economic interest of the government, which means that domestic territory is the political frontier border of a country. According to United Nations, domestic territory is the geographical territory administered by a government within which persons, goods and capital circulates freely. Means it is the part which is administered by the government within which person, goods and capital circulates freely. It also includes, with example we will understand the concept of domestic territory, means anything or any part of domestic country which is even if it is operated, it is landing to different country, if it belongs to our country, that it becomes domestic territory. For example, ships and aircraft owned and operated by home country in any other countries, example planes of India, comes under the domestic territory of our country, even though they are flying between America and Japan. Wherever Indian Airlines will move, land, the Indian Airlines will be the part of our domestic territory. Embassies, consulates and military establishment of foreign country located abroad is also the part of domestic territory. Fishing vessels, oil, natural gas rigs operated by residents of a country in international water is also considered as a domestic territory. So, domestic territory is different than the domestic boundary. It is larger than the domestic boundaries. Now, domestic territory does not include embassies, consulates, military establishment of foreign country located in our country. Suppose if there is embassies of America located in our country, that is not part of our domestic territory. It is the part of domestic territory of America. International organizations like UNO, United Nations organizations, World Health Organization, etc., located within the geographical boundary of a country will not be considered as domestic territory of that particular country. It is an international organization having no domestic boundaries. They have to operate. They are being operated worldwide. Worldwide they are operating, so they does not belongs to any domestic territory. Now, another concept, normal residents. A normal resident of a country refers to an individual or an institution who ordinarily resides in a country for a period of more than 1 year, whose center of economic interest lies in that particular country. They are considered as normal residents. It does not include foreign tourists and visitors, international organizations, foreign staffs of embassies located in the given country, employees if international organizations are considered as resident of the country to which they belong, border workers. They are not the normal resident of a particular country. Now, normal resident and citizen both are two different things. Citizenship is basically a legal concept based upon two things. We must be clear in our mind. Citizenship is basically a legal concept based upon two things. First, on the place of birth, where we take our birth, and second, by some legal provisions. That is, one can be citizen of a particular country either by taking birth in that country or by some legal provisions if they have opted for the citizenship for that particular country. Now, another two concepts: factor income and transfer income. Factor income is received when factor services will be provided. So, when we define it, it refers to the income received by the factors of production for rendering their factor services in the process of productions. Factor income earned by the normal residents is included in national income. Factor income earned by the normal residents is included in national income. But the concept of transfer income is quite different. It refers to the income received without rendering any productive service in return. For example, old age pension, scholarships, all are considered as a transfer income. Here the concept of the pension received after retirement will be part of factor income, and old age pension will be considered as transfer income, because for getting old age pension the person has not rendered any kind of services, right? So transfer income is not included. This is to understand very carefully. This is very important, that transfer income is not included in national income. Now, another concept, that is final and intermediate goods, the type of goods. There are two types of goods. First is final goods and second is intermediate goods. What do you mean by final goods? It refers to those goods which are used either for consumption or for investment. If any good is used for final consumption, then it is considered as final goods. That is, they are those goods which are used for final consumptions. Final goods are neither resold nor used for any further transformation in the process of productions. Means they have already got all values added to that particular goods, so they are neither resold nor used for any further transformation in the process of productions. Another concept, that is intermediate goods. What do you mean by intermediate goods? It refers to those goods which are used either for resale or for further production in the same year. It refers to those goods which are used either for resale or for further productions in the same year is considered as intermediate goods. These goods are generally purchased by one production unit from another production unit, and that can be considered as intermediate goods. We have to very carefully understand this fact, that Any commodities can be considered as final goods also or intermediate goods also. Let us take the example of milk. If we are purchasing milk for our final consumptions, then it becomes final goods for us. But at the same time, when milk is being purchased by sweet maker, means sweet shop, then for them it becomes intermediate goods. For example, another example we will take, furniture purchased by a furniture mart is an intermediate goods for the mart, whereas if the same furniture is purchased by a household, then it is termed to be as final good. So a commodity cannot be completely classified as intermediate or final goods. It depends upon the nature of use of that particular goods. It should be remembered that intermediate goods must be used up in the same year. If they remain more than 1 year, they are treated as final good. So let us differentiate between final and intermediate goods. Intermediate goods refers to those goods which are used either for resale or for further production in the same year. Final goods refer to those goods which used either for consumption or for investment. They are not ready, intermediate goods are not ready for use in the sense some value has to be added to the intermediate goods. And final goods, they are ready for use in the sense that no value has to be added. We can also say that they are still, intermediate goods are still within the production boundary. At the same time, final goods, they are ready for use in the sense that no value has to be added. For example, coal used in the factory for further production is considered as intermediate goods, and for example, milk purchased by household for consumption, it is final goods. For national income calculation, only final value of goods are considered. Now another two concept, that is consumption and capital goods. There are two types of goods, consumption goods and capital goods. Consumption goods are those goods which directly satisfies the wants of a consumer. Example, bread, shirt, furniture, etc. There are different type of consumption goods. One is durable goods. Lifespan is more than year, such as TV, computer, furniture are considered as durable goods. Semi-durable goods, lifespan around 1 year, such as clothes, shoes, etc. And third is non-durable goods used in a single act of consumptions like bread, butter, milk. And fourth, services. So all these are consumption goods, and depending upon the span of their use, they can be of different types. Capital goods, they are those final goods which help in production of other goods and services. Example, machinery, fixtures, etc. They are considered as capital goods. So that was some basic. In our next class, we will see some more concepts. Thank you.